Trying to tell your story to the world? Mailchimp can help for free. They've got gorgeous pre-designed email templates. You can also code your own, and that sounds intimidating. I'm telling you personally, it's not. I've been a Mailchimp user many years. I've made some of these templates. You send them out. They look good. They reflect what you want to say. It's really cool. Mailchimp shows you how to send, when you should send, why people open an email or why they click delete. They'll also help you find your audience. They find your people, grow your business. Mailchimp can help you tell your story effectively and find people who care about it. More at Mailchimp.com. Hello to all my bad dog adopters out there. It's Beautiful Anonymous. 1 hour, one phone call. No names, no holds barred.
I'd rather go one-on-one. I think it'll be more fun, and I'll get to know you, and you'll get to know me.
Hey everybody, it's Gethard here, aka the Giraffe, which for some reason fans of this show insist on still calling me. You have forced that one to stick, so I guess I'll just embrace it and say for some reason, looks like now I'll have to explain for the rest of my life why my nickname is the Giraffe to a certain segment of people. Speaking of Beautiful Anonymous fans, I just got back from London. I was there for 2 weeks doing career suicide, and every single night I met a fan of Beautiful Anonymous, at least one, and it was so nice. It was cool. It's really the first time I've toured in a big way. I've been so locked down in New York City. It's like really one of the first times I've gone somewhere else for an extended period of time since this show became what it is. And it was so cool. It was so cool and nice to meet so many people and people who are so nice about the show. Seems like everybody feels like it's like a secret in their life. Like nobody was coming up to me like, yo, Beautiful Anonymous. People would like quietly pull me aside and go like, I'm a really big fan of the podcast. And then they'd save an episode and be like, you married a monster one, huh? And like it seems like it's a gentle, thoughtful group of people out there. And it was so nice to meet so many of you guys. And so cool, so inspiring. And on that note, I have decided, and this is not a thing that's planned, I'll obviously announce more of this once it's ready, but I want to take this thing on tour. I want to figure out a way to go to different cities all over the world and do calls live on stage. And you can get, because I go do stand-up, go do career suicide, that's nice, but imagine if I could come out and we could just do a thing for us, for Beautiful Anonymous fans. So one thing that will really help me plan it is if I know where you guys are. So what I've done is in the Facebook group, I keep mentioning we have a Beautiful Anonymous, the community Facebook group. That's up to 3,500 members, and people are in there really nice and thoughtful and talk about the show and all sorts of other stuff. But I have a poll going in there. It's actually the pinned post there now asking you what city you're from. If I ever go on tour, would you want me to come to your city? So go see if your city's on the list. Click yes, add your vote for that city. And if your city's not on the list, add it. And I'm going to try to get out there on the road second half of this year. I really want to make it happen. So let me know where that is. And speaking of the Facebook group, reaction to last week's episode, a very, very nice woman named Alicia wrote a message. It's beautiful. You should go read the whole thing. It's very long, so I'm not going to read the whole thing. But she basically says, call her. She's the type of woman you're looking for. She says she was working at a coffee shop and a guy named Devin came in and he was very nervous. They went on a date. He very nervously mentioned he was a father of 3 and she said, I don't care. You talked about them in the shop. I heard about them. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful. A very beautiful message. You should join and read it. And just at the end, I want to read the last paragraph because I felt this was inspiring. Caller, I felt so inspired to write to you if you're reading this because 2 days before your episode aired, Devin proposed to me. And I said yes. The kids were ecstatic at the news. He asked their permission. They gave it wholeheartedly. So hold on. She is out there, and she will find you when you least expect it. And if I can offer one piece of advice, become a regular at a coffee shop. So caller from last week, 4 kids, Zero Spaghetti, if you're listening, there's you in particular join the Facebook group I've been plugging because there's a very inspirational message. And Alicia, what a beautiful thing you wrote. Seriously, go read the whole thing. It's beautiful. This week's call, a fun one of the biggest ball busters in the history of the show, but also someone who's dealt with something serious, an illness, a very specific illness picked up in a very specific way, and somebody who's in the course of recovery, but also has a lot of fun with me. And if you get this deep into the episode, is trying to get a dog adopted. So if you're in the market for a dog, listen to the end of this episode. This is a good person who needs a little help getting back on their feet, and they're handling it with a lot of grace and a lot of humor, but also adopting a dog is always a nice thing to do. So listen, you voyeurs to this exhibitionist, and maybe help this guy out. Caller, thank you so much, and I hope you guys enjoy it.
Thank you for calling Beautiful Anonymous. A beeping noise will indicate when you are on the show with the host.
Hey.
Hey, is this Chris?
Yeah.
Hey, Chris.
How are you?
I'm okay. I must say your hold music is pretty ominous.
Really? And you were on hold. I'm hearing you were on hold for a long time. We're doing 2 calls today. I hear you sat on hold for the whole hour of the prior call.
Yeah, I feel like, the little I know about you, I feel like you're doing pretty well for yourself. So I feel like you might be able to spring for the deluxe package and get some. It's the Christmas season, right? And or the holiday season, and you have this dark dungeon piano forcing me to listen to for an hour, and I just feel like you could do better.
What is this? I've never heard it. I've never been on. I'm the only person in the world who's tried to participate in this who's never had to be on hold. What does it sound like? Can you replicate it? The beautiful anonymous hold music.
But I can tell you that it's dark, and you don't really want to listen to it for an hour. So, okay. There's worse things in life, but maybe something upbeat. I think you can figure it out. Yeah.
I don't know what the options are here. I don't really know. I'm not a technical guy. I just come in, I sit down in front of the mic. The earwolf machine, the earwolf corporate machine is the one that has the whole system set up. I don't know. Maybe they like it ominous. Try to intimidate the other podcasting companies out there. Like
perhaps. I just feel like if you're trying to kind of jazz up your potential callers, you could pick something a little more vibrant. But
for the service of the calls themselves, if we want people to have positive energy, we should drub them with relentlessly negative, ominous hold. I want to get everybody, if you've ever been on hold and you agree, I want you to let me know about this. Feel free to tweet at me or go in the Facebook group. If you got opinions on the hold music, I have no idea if we can even change that, but I'd love to hear if other people agree with your assessment of this.
Well, yeah. Well, thanks for talking to me today.
I'm happy to talk to you because can I tell you something about you?
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great about you because
honestly,
you have the most crystal clear phone connection in the history of this podcast, and I don't know how you're pulling it off.
Perhaps that's karma for having to bear your dungeon music for the last hour and 15 minutes.
Okay, all right, I get it. It's not my fault. You're a maniac who sat there for 75 minutes waiting for me. That's on you, bro.
Yeah.
But I appreciate it.
That's true.
I appreciate it.
I just listened to your Don't Think Twice film 2 nights ago.
Listen, you say you listened to a film?
I listened to it. I did not watch it.
How does that
work?
I
listened to the entire thing. Well, I have 2 ears, and it worked pretty well. No, I haven't been able to watch things for quite a while.
Why is that?
I've had a bit of an illness. About a year and a half ago, I was working in Eastern Africa, and I got pretty ill. So one of my symptoms is I really struggle with screens, which in this modern age is a bit of a downer. Anyway, so that's why I listened to your entire film, and actually, it was one of the better films to just listen to. You don't really have to see your face or anyone's faces. You can kind of enjoy the monologues and whatnot. Yeah.
Well, I want to apologize because you and I you were really busting my balls, and I was trying to bust your balls back, and then it got very sad, and I didn't mean to. Yeah, I was like, listen to.
Funny how that works out, huh?
I'm like, listen to a film. How do you do that? And you're like, well, my sight has been ravaged by disease, and now I look like the asshole.
Well, I'm not. In your defense, I'm not blind. It just it increases the inflammation quite a bit.
Yeah, so it's light.
A neurological thing that well, it's not quite light. It's stimulation that is past a certain point. Wow. That makes it pretty hard.
What is this? Yeah. Can I ask what you came down with?
Well, I don't know the initial virus, so I was pretty deep. I was in a community in Uganda that I've had a connection to for a while, that I love a lot. And I thought it was just a typical, traveler's diarrhea problem, for anyone out there that has had that kind of horrible vomiting, diarrhea spell that lasts 3 or 4 days and usually clears up even without antibiotics. But this one didn't get better. And I started getting some neurological problems. They actually had to fly me out and, land one of those little small planes to pick me up. Actually, Chris, it was crazy. As you can imagine, it was a pretty bad week. And this little plane comes to pick me up. And it crashes. Can you believe that? And it was a bad day.
What are you talking?
It was a real bad day. So
it crashed on its way to pick you up, or when you got on the plane?
No. Well, I guess it could have been worse, huh? I wasn't on the plane. They were making a special stop to pick me up, and there's a small, tiny little airport where I was. And as they landed, it wasn't a complete crash, but there's a lot of damage to the plane. So they had to, send a new plane out. But it was just a kind of an exclamation point on a shit day, right?
Was everyone okay on the plane?
Hard. Yeah. They were okay. They were pissed. It was scary for a second, but it worked out. We got a new plane in about 8 or 9 hours. But I was trying to get to the hospital, so I was pretty upset.
8 or 9 hours, not an ideal delay when you're having neurological issues and need to get to a hospital.
But, I had all the fruit I could have wanted, some fresh ground nuts, so, it was okay. But yeah, it was a hard moment. Anyway, that's why I listened to your film.
Well,
which I did enjoy.
I have so many questions. Wait, did you say you did enjoy? Or didn't?
I actually really did enjoy.
Good.
It was a great film. Yeah.
I briefly thought you slipped in that you didn't enjoy it, to which I would have said, to each his own. But I just wanted to make sure. What is your connection to this Ugandan community? Let's start there. I want to know more about that. You just casually said that a Ugandan community I have a connection to and that I love. I'd love to know more about that.
Sure. Well, it's maybe 6 years old relationship. I won't give too much detail, but a little bit. I was in graduate school and I was partnered up with this really amazing pastor, peacemaker, from this community in Uganda, this town. We became really good friends. I went to visit him and to work with him for a bit. And then, kind of from there, I never lost touch. So anyway, I finally was able to return after my initial time with him. And I was working with him for a development organization to support his charity, his nonprofit. And that's when I unfortunately got ill.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was it was one of those moments, Chris, where I got to a point in my life where a lot of hard work paid off, right? A lot of schooling, overcame a lot of things that, maybe we don't have time to get into. And I was just loving life, right? I was doing exactly what I wanted to do. Sort of one of those dream scenarios. I was in a community that was encouraging, where I was challenged, where I had a lot of independence, when I felt like I could make some small little impact and learn a lot. And then, of course, the bottom dropped out and I was waiting for a plane to come pick me up, right? And now it's a year and a half later and I'm still struggling with damn illness, kind of waiting it out. We'll get better at some point, but it's a bit of a long-term issue that has a lot of hope, but waiting's not fun. And that's where your podcasts are a lifesaver. Not only yours, but for somebody who struggles with vision And I don't know if you've had any people with, I don't think you've had anybody with a disability, but maybe you have. But listening to things sometimes is maybe an only option, and it's a really beautiful option. And I actually really appreciate this distraction. And I have for about a year and a half.
Well, I'm really glad to be some small part of helping get you through this. That means a lot.
Yeah. Distractions are really important sometimes, when you, not that I'm escaping with your podcast, but you kind of get out of your world, right? Get out of your cycle of whatever it is, self-doubt or frustration or just boredom, right? And you can kind of get in someone else's world and recognize that your problems aren't the only problems, that everyone's kind of getting through something. And it's also nice to be distracted with some joy, some laughter. So yeah, I appreciate that.
Hey, it's my pleasure. I'm going to tell you, we're about 10 minutes in, and I'm very fascinated by your story. And also, there's a lot of things going on with you. You have a great sense of humor. You came out of the gate busting my balls harder than anybody has in the history of this show.
That's just the objective truth. I mean, I feel like that's the first thing that you got to get right. You got to get the vibe right.
Here you go again. You're busting my balls. You got the clearest phone connection I've ever heard of. You're demonstrating real positivity and confidence. You use my first name liberally in a way that's both disarming and comforting. There's a lot going on with you. You've mentioned this outreach. Sounds like you maybe are someone of a religious background. Even in the telling me about what has to be, I would imagine, one of the grimmest moments of a life when you're waiting to go to a hospital and the plane taking you there crashes, you immediately say, but I had a lot of fruit and ground nuts. Really looking for positivity. You're a layered person.
Well, they do have the best bananas you'll ever have in your life in this area.
Yeah.
All this shipped in crap that I'm sure you have and is not very good. They're so sweet. They're so amazing.
And so
I actually really miss all that food.
Do you know the timeline of your recovery? Do you know the actual name of the illness you had? You kind of told me the timeline of how you got it. Do you know what it is? Do you know how long it takes to get rid of?
Yeah, it's in the years, but not more than a handful, and it depends on some treatment, which I'm working on. A lot of it's just a waiting game, and the body heals itself sometimes slowly. So it definitely has impacted my life quite a bit, but it's not anything that is going to keep me from doing something exciting again at some point.
And are the sight issues the primary effect on your life?
That's one of them. It just has a lot of neurological complications. Nothing. It's scary, but it's not anything that there's a lot worse things than this. It's mostly just extremely frustrating, and I haven't been able to work, so that's a big stressor.
Yeah.
It's stressful on relationships, on family. Obviously financially it's hard when you can't work, especially when you live in a country with almost zero safety net, no matter what certain people say. So it's a struggle, but I don't know. There's hope at some point. It's just there's a lot of boredom, actually.
Yeah. And when you say neurological, is that is your movement affected? Is your speech? It's not your speech. You're very well spoken. Is it, are you in pain?
No, it doesn't affect my mental processing or my ability to speak or move. It's just a very painful thing. So, essentially, the more activity I engage in, the more pain I get. So I end up sitting around a lot. So the first 6 months I was pretty much just in bed, which was obviously really crappy because I'm a fairly active person that likes to have a lot of stimulation. And so I'm better than I was a year ago. And I'm sure in a year I'll be better than I am now and maybe all the way there, but maybe not. So I'm in a process.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's mostly just pain, and it's actually fairly isolating, Chris, because when I'm not moving, and I'm not like looking at a screen or, it's okay. It's not too bad. But who wants to just sit on a bed to avoid pain? That's
I get
not
it.
fun, right? So it's kind of like its own jail. So it's a big mental, battle to stay positive and don't allow yourself to feel like you're stuck.
Yeah.
Because then I don't. You don't want to develop emotional problems, that kind of stuff. So.
Right. So it's kind of like the condition you're dealing with now is its own thing, and then you have to really work hard to stave off like the long-term mental, emotional PTSD style effects.
For sure. So as soon as I got back, I got a counselor, which has been very helpful. So I'm staving that side off, I think, fairly well.
Yeah.
As best as I could. Yeah.
And it's I'm not trying to be weird here, but I've taken a few passes at just saying like, what's this thing called? It's becoming increasingly clear you'd prefer not to say. Is there a specific reason for that?
Oh no, it's a type of meningitis that I got.
Meningitis. Yeah, that sounds bad.
Yeah.
That sounds bad.
I was just trying to not give too many descriptors, right? Trying to stay fairly anonymous. But no, I wasn't trying to be too cryptic.
No, it's fine. Yeah, I was just saying. No, I don't think that threatens anonymity in any way. Nor are those rules in any way.
Yeah.
Do they have any consequences? I largely made them up on a whim, and people seem to enjoy them. So I appreciate that you're respecting them. So yeah, so you came down with that. That's hard. Did you have? Do you have like you got family? You got friends helping you out?
Yeah, I do. I've given a lot of thought to, when you see like the homeless people on the streets, and you wonder how they got there.
Yeah.
And there's just kind of my own thoughts that I've been thinking about. I guess maybe because it's the holiday time. Sometimes I wonder, without family, without friends, like how many of those people just got sick or, had some chronic illness and they just didn't have a support system. So they're like, in a box. There's so many ways that someone gets to a bad spot, but I never had this perspective to wonder, maybe it was an actual physical illness without a support system that then led to a bunch of emotional problems or whatever. But I think I've had reason to wonder if you don't have family and a support system, like, I could even see myself like getting to that point if like you didn't have help, because sometimes you can't bear things on your own, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've just been wondering. I've had a lot of time, Chris, to just reflect and appreciate, and also just be angry sometimes too.
Yeah, I'm sure. So this the illness you're dealing with, it's really made you kind of ponder you're like pondering the world, like your worldview changing, would you say, like during this period of inactivity where all you can do is kind of think and plan and did the illness change your world? Let's see. Did the illness that has had you in bed for a year and a half change your worldview? Asking the real hard-hitting questions there, Gethard. We'll get the answer in a moment. In the meantime, though, let's hear from the sponsors that allow this show to happen for free. They've got all kinds of products, services, things that I think you might like. Check them out. What are the odds that you'll get a date by this weekend? If you are not on Match, they're significantly lower than if you are on Match. Okay, 1 in 3 relationships start online. It's time to rethink your strategy. If you're single and looking to meet people, you've got to get on Match. And look, I'm old enough to remember an era when it was like online dating. What's that all about? Guess what? It works all the time now. 1 in 3 relationships start online. I got some very good friends I go out to brunch with all the time. They got a kid. The kid's the best. I love hanging out with them. One of the happiest couples I know in my life, and that is the truth. And guess where they met? Online. We already know that online dating works, and Match is the way to go. They're not only number one in first dates, but in second dates too. And Match has led to more relationships than any other dating app. Match makes it easy to find that great connection. You can also download the Match app to have matches sent directly to your phone. So you can set up that first date from anywhere, anytime that's best for you. Meeting your match has never been easier. Just go to match.com/beautiful. And for a limited time, you can try Match for 7 days free. That is 7 days completely free to search and connect with thousands on match.com. So go ahead, create your account now at match.com/beautiful. That is match.com/beautiful. I don't know if it's just me or the winter. Winter always gets me. There's a lot of, I don't know what it could be. Seems like there's a lot of folks feeling down lately. What could that be all about? Listen, I'm excited to introduce our sponsor this week, Talkspace. If you've ever thought about going to therapy, but you find that it's inconvenient, it's too expensive, or maybe the stigmas are out there, you're a little embarrassed, to make it into an office, give Talkspace a try. Talkspace is the online therapy company. They make it easy to connect with a licensed therapist, handpicked just for you, for as little as $32 a week. Using Talkspace, you can text, audio, video message your therapist as much as you want. Your Talkspace therapist can listen to you vent about work or family, explore your relationships with the people around you, and give you advice, help put you on the path to a happier life. To sign up or to learn more, go to talkspace.com/beautiful. And as a special offer for our listeners, you can use coupon code BEAUTIFUL to get $30 off your first month. Show your support for this podcast. That is beautiful. Talkspace.com/beautiful. Talkspace, therapy for how we live today. This caller, he's really turning the screws, giving me a hard time, also telling us about his hard time. Fascinating caller. Lucky to have him. Let's hear more on Beautiful Anonymous. Is your worldview changing, would you say, during this period of inactivity where all you can do is kind of think and plan? And
I don't know. I mean, I had a pretty entrenched worldview before I got sick, and I'm sure it is, and I probably won't know. 10 years from now, I'll probably know how this impacted me, really, right? But this time has certainly made me a bit less idealistic. I'm still pretty excited, passionate guy most days, but I've been thinking a lot about the idea of settling. And, so I was at a point in my life where I overcame quite a bit, and I was doing the job that I loved, and I was really happy. And I felt like I was making a teeny little impact, right? And now I'm sort of cautioned that I shouldn't get back to that place for health reasons, even when this is over. And I've kind of I'm a very stubborn dude, so I've never really considered not meeting my goals, right? I know it's a privilege to say, but I've always just kind of grew up in this mindset, that if I work hard enough and I try hard enough, I can get some semblance of what I want. Even if it's fairly idealistic, as long as I'm patient and I look for something that is close to what I want, I can get most of the way there or a part of the way there. And for me, that was, working in this community, working in international development, working in the field of peace building, conflict resolution, and I had this illness happen all of a sudden, and I'm cautioned that maybe I shouldn't go down that road, which is fine, but I've never really considered what it means to settle for something else. And what does that really look like? It was always kind of plow through and believe in yourself, right? Maybe I'm a bit naive, but that's kind of where my mindset has been. How do you maintain your idealism and your kind of passion for a certain place or a certain type of work when you can't be there. How do you I'm rebalancing. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. Because I'm sure there's
Do
also...
you have any, I don't know too much about your life, Chris. Do you have any experiences where you may have had to think in that way?
Well, I have. All of them are far more shallow, ego-driven, and money-driven than you, who is someone who is giving to the world. That's another thing that sucks so bad, is you were someone who was you keep using the phrase peace. You were there promoting peace, peacemaking. You were clearly someone, you were working with a pastor, you were traveling to a nation that it sounds like an area of the world that was very desolate, maybe in need. You were helping, and you were... And this reason in particular, there are clearly people who had who don't aim to give of themselves as much as you have, who have not had to suffer as a result.
Let's not get ahead. Let's not, like, I don't want to frame myself as like this dude going into this place and making a difference. Mostly the goal is to learn, right, and then to I think most people that are being really honest with themselves when they're in that type of work, unless they're like super arrogant, find that they like learn a lot more and make a lot more mistakes than they originally would have thought. And I think most people, if they're really honest in like international development, or whether they're a Peace Corps volunteer, whatever the hell got them to some place to begin with, we'll find out that they're impacted a lot more than perhaps how they impacted others. So right. I don't want to.
But even still,
I don't particularly accept that framing of my experience there. Right.
For sure. That being said, 99.9% of the people listening to this, including myself, are probably going, yeah, but still, I never even took the time to. I wouldn't, make my life about giving up my life to go learn about the lives of others. That's still a very positive thing you were doing. And it's really brutal that one of the unfortunate results was this. I mean, that has to sting. And I just want to frame my answer to your question by saying I know how vapid this sounds in comparison. No matter how much you want to defend and say that it's not about you, and there's so much truth to that and beauty to that, I still will say, for me, I think a lot of my reexaminations of the type you're talking about are, I think, I'm a comedian by trade. I think it's Beautiful Anonymous took such a quick non-comedic turn that I think a lot of the listeners here only know me as this. I'm largely a comedian, a stand-up, and also known for doing like a lot of sort of like oddball experimental stuff. And for me, I was very much in that world and seeing a lot of people around me getting successful, and really craved that in ways that were traditional. And I think I had a lot of bitterness maybe that wasn't happening, and felt like I kept missing my shot. And then, came close a couple of times, had a couple of big opportunities, and kind of took some swings and misses on those. They didn't work out. And for me, it was very eye-opening. And I think my real period of adjustment was kind of re-examining my values and my priorities, because I realized that I didn't really want those jobs. I just wanted the validation that came along with them. And if I was being honest, none of them were all that satisfying, and that my values had always been very independent, and that I was maybe putting the cart before the horse to a degree. And at that point, I really readjusted and started making everything that I was doing like intentionally smaller and definitely more of myself, and really representing what I thought was funny or interesting, and trying to maybe do chasing sitcom jobs. And I have a lot of friends who write and act on sitcoms, and that's great. And those are great gigs. And a lot of those shows are good. A lot of them are not. We all know that. But I definitely felt like, man, I can maybe do stuff that's a little more human and a little more personal, and maybe a little bit more, that's maybe going to be smaller and lead to no mainstream success, but that is maybe going to connect and mean a little more to the people who do find it. And that was my period of readjustment. And that's led to things like this show.
Yeah. Did you just make a small admission that you have friends that work for crappy shows? The crappy shows that you don't think are any good. I feel like you just admitted something that we need to discuss.
Okay.
But maybe not. I don't want to call them out. I just, for those, if this ever gets out there, I want everyone to know that Chris just admitted that at least one of his friends works for a shit show. For a amount of time.
Well, the good thing about being in the world of comedy is I think, excuse me, many of my friends would admit that you take a lot of money gigs, and not all my friends are going to claim that they worked on the best shows.
I'm just playing. Yeah.
I know you are, and I like that you're busting my balls. I do, because also as we talk more and more, it makes me realize that a phone call, like you, I bet, like, you know, you physically experience a lot of pain. You get up again, but a phone call, you get to let loose, and you're giving me the business a little bit, you're turning the screw, and I like that. You're having fun. I like it.
No, this is a cool medium. I appreciate it. Yeah,
it's a good time. Now I'm gonna put something else out here, and again, you don't have to go there if you don't want. You have now twice said I overcame a lot of things to get to the point where I got. Totally up to you if you don't want to get into it. At one point, you said, maybe we don't, overcame a lot of things that we won't have time to talk about. We do have over half an hour left. I don't know if you want to expand or if you want to just keep having fun, move forward. Totally up to you. Not putting pressure, but I can't. You floated it out there twice, the phrase, I've overcome a lot of things. I feel like I'd be honor bound to at least make sure I say, what up with that?
Well, part of it is just, busting your butt and working hard, right? Which isn't necessarily overcoming, terrible things. But yeah, I for a while there, I had a rough family life. Had some alcoholism in my family that, affects things. That is fine now, which is actually a really beautiful story. It worked out. Learned some really good lessons on where you can affect change and where you can't, when to just back off, which I try to apply to my life. So mostly it was family issues, working hard, trying not to get my foot caught in too many places. We don't have to go too far into that rabbit hole, but the point being, I learned some really good lessons on, when not to get involved, where you can impact change in your family, where you should just let people be, and live your own life. And that's actually the more loving thing to do. Yeah.
Wow. That is a succinct answer.
I learned that lesson
packed with... Oh yeah, go on.
I learned that lesson through making a lot of bad decisions. But I'm actually, that part of my life I'm really grateful for. There's some problems there that, looking back, looking back, I'm pretty grateful that I learned those lessons. With my current issue with this meningitis, it's just kind of like there isn't really a huge lesson. It's just a shit thing that happened, and got in the way of a lot of things. There aren't a lot of lessons except just getting through it, But for what I was just referencing, there's some good lessons from that, and I don't forget that. Yeah.
You were extraordinarily succinct, packed in a lot of information and hope in that. I think the job was well done. I also, as you say, I would imagine as I get to know your personality, you're someone who it's like, all right, you're clearly very level-headed person, very positive person, forward-thinking person, challenge yourself. I would have to imagine in a very odd way, tell me if I'm right or wrong about this, it would probably be less frustrating for you if you were afflicted with something that was permanent on some level, because it seems to me like you're someone who, if they said, hey, this is your new reality, you have to adapt to it, you have to figure out how to move forward, you just have to live with this. That seems like something that you have become accustomed to in your life, saying like, okay, I'm going to work as hard as I can, I'm going to figure it out. It seems to me like being told like, hey, you're going to be fine in a couple of years, you just got to wait it out. that seems almost more torturous based on what I'm learning of you, because you're someone who's like, no, I'm going to be proactive. I'm going to change things. I'm going to bring the positivity to it.
Well, I think what's difficult is, I think you're potentially right. I can't say I've ever had a permanent neurological condition to know, right?
Right.
How I would react to that. I might get depressed and hate my life, right? But I don't know. But you might be right. I think a lot of people don't do well with uncertainty. But a lot of the waiting, a lot of the uncertainty with this illness, a lot of the just kind of day by day, there's no real change. Yeah, then that gets to me. You know?
Yeah.
And I'm sure mentally it might be a little bit easier if you just, something was over, right? And you're like, this is what I got to move forward. But I'm of the mind where it's like, no, this is going to get better, which it will. So I'm, in my mind, I'm like projecting, what am I going to do next, right? So I'm just sitting here kind of waiting, trying to plan things out. But the issue is I can't really be too proactive, Chris, right? Like when I've had issues before, I've been all about being proactive, whether it's, you get a little injury, you're doing your therapy, or you got an emotional thing with your family, you do your therapy, you get through it, you get strong. And that's fine. But with this, there isn't a lot to do except get through that day and, listen to some podcasts and try to laugh a little bit. And, there's just not a lot to do. I'm not good with just boredom.
No, I've picked up on that. You're very clearly the type of person who makes a to-do list and then you start checking things off the to-do list. It's very clear. So I have these crappy to-do lists. It's like, okay, wake up, listen to your podcast, right? Then do yoga, then do this, then all these like super basic things, right? Yeah.
That has never really been in my life before. But I still try to live in that way. But at the very beginning of this illness, it was really hard because I think a lot of people didn't enjoy 2016, but the range of 2016 was kind of incredible for me, right? Like on the one hand, I could be like living this dream life, doing what I wanted to do, but instead I'm like laying on a bed, right?
Yeah.
Rooting for Bernie Sanders. That was a big distraction for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have to imagine if you're a Bernie guy too, the listening to the news unfold day by day probably wasn't.
Oh my God.
Not the best.
As I've said, auditory things were kind of my jam this year. So yeah, oh man, I had to listen to so much news because there's only so many podcasts worth listening to. Or maybe I just didn't know enough of them yet. But yeah, the news was pretty damn depressing. At times exciting. I don't think you were a Bernie guy. I think I might have heard in a, and as you'd say, to each his or her own. But you were a Clinton supporter then. You don't have to get into that, Chris.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what.
Just trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Which side of history you were on.
I like you. Here's the thing. I donated to Bernie in the early days. I did donate to Bernie in the early days. I will say right out of the gate, I donated. Bernie sent me way too many emails. Way too many emails. To a degree where even as someone who was like excited and rooting for him, I was like, oh man, this is annoying. I will just say, constructive advice if anybody from the Bernie Sanders campaign is listening, it got very annoying very fast to be a Bernie supporter. And then I'll also say too, I felt like, what I started to realize was after a certain point, to me, it just felt very pie in the sky. And I really liked Bernie and I really liked a lot of what he had to say. And I think very clearly, especially as far as like class conflict and the working class in America, I think everything he said there, I was like, hell yeah. And I also think that was a message that clearly in retrospect was going to get through a lot more than Hillary's very vague messaging. But I did feel like at a certain point, it was like, you can say college is going to be free and you can say everybody's going to have health care, but we've all seen like Obama couldn't even get a Supreme Court justice on at the same time that was happening. It's like ideologically and theoretically, I think everything he's saying is describing a world that is just a better place. I don't think it's going to happen. And I think my support of Hillary was very clearly like, she's going to get things done. And almost like, I like it that she's like a backroom dealer who's going to pull some senators aside and be like, cut the shit, I'll destroy you. Like, she had that side of it. And I really liked that. I didn't think that was a negative.
I can respect that you felt like she was a progressive that gets things done, right?
I didn't feel you know how to stick it to a guy. You got that sarcastic
I hear you,
wit.
Chris. I'm just playing. And I think your criticism is shared by many people. However, I really can appreciate somebody who, I don't think Bernie's all that. I think he's incredibly idealistic, but I think that, obviously I don't know him, but I think he's the type of dude who shoots as high as he can, and then if he can't quite get there, he takes what he got. So maybe that's the type of person I would like to be. Somebody who can shoot as high as he can get, and then whatever you get, you take.
You're willing to land among the stars, as the saying goes.
Well, perhaps. But you know what? You're New York City, right? You're New York?
Yeah.
Well, what do you know about the history of New York City colleges and how incredibly affordable they were way back before our time?
We're talking about the City University of New York here.
No, they were free back in the day.
There you go.
So, I think, I think, are you saying that, it's so idealistic to do what we've already done? There's no way we can do what we've already done. Wow. I think that's silly. I think when you're pulled so far in one direction to think that all of these really basic things are idealistic is to lose yourself a little bit. And I think we have to be squarely looking at our history and histories around the world to see what actually is idealistic and what's just right. Yeah. Now, but I'm not saying that you're kind of the practicality I hear coming from you isn't based in anything.
And I don't disagree with anything you're saying. I'm just I look at it and I'm like, Mitch McConnell's too much of a dickhead. He's just too much of a dickhead to let Bernie do any of this stuff. Maybe Hillary will actually, who knows? But this is also this is a political fight from 6 months ago. I don't know. Why didn't Joe Biden or Elizabeth Warren run? They were better versions of the two options that we had. It's fine. Who knows?
I think, this is the last thing I'll say.
And we'll get to that last thing soon enough. And I bet a lot of people are saying, "Oh, you're fighting about politics from last year. We got to worry about politics from this year." I agree, and you hear that in my voice, and you hear he just has some things he wants on record. We'll hear more about his beliefs as well as his experience. We'll get back on track with that right after we hear from the advertisers that helped this show happen. Check it out. If you're into science at all, you probably know Neil deGrasse Tyson's hit podcast, Star Talk Radio. Well, there's a great new show from Star Talk you gotta check out. It's called Playing with Science. Each episode brings together athletes like Hope Solo or Lance Armstrong and scientists like Neil deGrasse Tyson to explore the stories behind iconic moments in sports, like the technology that helped Usain Bolt become the fastest human on Earth. That's rad. Nerdy science merged with sports. Who doesn't like that? You get the nerds, you get the jocks. We all cross over, get along. It's going to be super fun. Check it out. All you have to do is subscribe to Playing with Science from Star Talk in iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play. Wherever you get your podcast, enjoy it. Playing with Science. We got more phone call. We got more opinions. We got more stories. Illness, life, love. What happens? Dogs. What happens? Let's find out. Beautiful Anonymous.
This is the last thing I'll say. I'm not sensing that you're trying to talk politics too much, and I don't really care if we do either. But I liked that with the Bernie stuff, there was a logic, right? Maybe it was super idealistic, but it's like, if we can get enough people that are down with this stuff, you know, and that's how democracy works, right? You know, you can, you know, pressure people to do stuff. It doesn't matter what Mitch McConnell thinks if you got both sides of Congress and, you know, a movement of people that's developing over, you know, 20 years, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
I just like when there's a theory of actual change, even if it's idealistic. There's an actual theory to get things done. There's a logic that we can follow, you know. And it's like, if you don't even have that, you're just walking in mud.
Yeah,
right.
And I supported Hillary, and to this day, I can't tell you what she actually really was pushing for. I can't. I know. I get it all. I'm bummed. Donald Trump is our president.
Yeah, well,
it's an actual reality TV star. It's fine. He's the president now. We'll deal with it.
But hey, I voted for Hillary, so I'm not trying to. I don't want people out. If this gets out there, I want people to be like, I voted for Jill Stein or anything like that. No, I mean, you know, shoot as high as you can, and then you make the practical decision when you got to. That's what I think.
The last thing we want is people listening to be like, that dude who dedicated his life, who pushed through a tough upbringing to dedicate his life to trying to learn about world cultures and see what positive change he could bring to the world, and was tragically stricken by meningitis, voted for Jill Stein. Fuck him. We don't want that.
Yeah,
it's the last thing we want.
What a jerk.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Hey, can I make a little public service announcement? I have this. I've been unfortunately fostering this stupid little dog. I should make him sound to be really wonderful. But if anybody out there wants to adopt Lewis from City Dogs Rescue in Washington D.C., and I don't currently live there, so people don't think I live there, but it would really help me out. Then I get this little twerp out of my living space. But he's super cute. He is not well behaved, but I think his looks makes up for it. It would really help me out.
And how do people find this? So you're fostering him. You're open to saying this dog is not well behaved, but very cute. Yeah. How did they find this dog?
So just open that Google machine and type City Dogs Rescue, in the DC area. Look for Lewis and just adopt him, please, like now, because he is biting my foot and I'm not into it. And I don't know how to train dogs. I like cats. He's super cute. He's a little puppy. Just someone just do it. Just do it.
And then,
is that appropriate? Can that be in there?
Sure. If you wanna use this platform to pitch that someone adopts a dog that is currently annoying you, you do what you want.
Well, it's been done, Chris.
Yeah, I bet people are already clicking on their Google machines, as you say.
They better be.
And is this going to out you, or are people going to find out who you are via this?
No. They won't.
Third-party organization.
I don't live in this area. Yeah. I'm just helping someone out with this. Yeah,
and is it LEWIS or LUOUIS?
LEWIS.
Good to know. I would have guessed the other one. So Lewis City Dog Rescue, DC area?
Yeah, they're good. They're a good group. They do good stuff.
Yeah, okay.
I've been told.
If anybody listening wants an admittedly poorly behaved dog that bites, his name's Lewis.
With a lot of potential. He's very cute, little dude. You know, he's just a puppy, right? he doesn't know what he's doing yet. He's just trying, trying best he can.
I'm gonna look this dog up right now.
Look him up right now.
They're in. Oh, we're looking it up. They're in alphabetical order. He's very skinny. He's a miniature pincher / feist. He's already neutered. Medium young male. Lewis, Gen 8.
He's very athletic, great jumper.
18
he loves to go
pounds,
on runs.
Smart, okay. Gets along great with the foster family's dog. Loves playing.
To be honest, I feel like I need to disclose some things that I've learned. He is not. Did you say he's smart? He is not smart.
On the website, it says outgoing, trainable, playful, adventurous, friendly, energetic, brave, quick learner, and smart.
All of that is true. He's a wonderful dog, except his smarts. Yeah. He ran into the glass door yesterday, full speed, trying to get outside, not smart.
Uh-huh.
Not a smart dog.
Says Lewis is working on his introductions to other dogs on leash because he sometimes barks. Would do best in a home without cats. He is too interested in cats. Uh-huh.
Sure.
Yeah, it sounds like...
Sure.
What is going on with you? Why do I get such a kick out of you, man?
It would really help me out. I gotta get something out of this too, besides just enjoying, your sweet voice. I feel.
Oh God. There you go. Give me the business again. Let's go. Let's see. Crate training projects. Goes into his crate easily and settles down very well. Sleeps through the night in his crate.
He does.
Yeah.
For anyone out there, he does sleep through the night. That's his best asset. That and his face.
Loves playing with toys and investigating new and interesting things. Did you write this? Lewis is a very smart pup.
No, I did not write this.
It does say in here again, Lewis is a very smart pup and will respond very well to obedience training.
That's questionable. I think he has potential to learn. He's just not a super bright dog. Doesn't mean he can't respond to obedience.
He says it says Lewis likes rough and tumble play. He is still learning how to curb his rambunctiousness and playing with people. His confidence and playfulness. His confidence and playfulness will bring his new family new adventures every day.
That I did not write that.
I can't believe you're pitching a dog rescue.
He's a little puppy. He's a cute little puppy. Likes to cuddle. But he needs to teach him how not to bite your leg. And if you can do that, you'll have an awesome lifetime relationship with Lewis. I think you should rename him. We've been calling him Tim Riggins from Friday Night Lights because he's kind of a jock. So if you take this dog, please continue to call him Riggins. Then you can call him Big Rig. That's what we do. Yeah. So that's the dog. I appreciate this opportunity, Chris.
Please, I'm glad to help. And anyway, citydogsrescuedc.org. You search for Lewis. Let's get this dog off this guy's hand. The guy got meningitis. Can't train a dog right now.
If two things happen from this podcast, I hope that A, you change your damn hold music to something vibrant. And B, Lewis, a.k.a. Big Rig, has a home.
All right. Okay, we can accomplish some good here. I make no promises on the hold music, but my guess is that we might actually get a few clicks for people looking at Lewis.
I feel like you got some sway on that hold music, Jam. If you can't change that, what can you do?
Hey, I show up, I tweet out the number, I do the call. I'm sure we'll look into it. Jared literally just shrugged his shoulders. I don't think it's going to happen.
All right. All right.
I like you. Now, wait, you live with your family? Where are you living? What are you doing?
That's the issue. I'm all over the place because, I'm not a young dude.
30s, 40s?
I'm not old either. Yeah, 30s, early 30s, very early 30s. So I'm not trying to live with my family. But, when you're dependent on people, you got to live with whoever can help you.
Yeah.
So,
no significant other right now?
Have an illness. I do. I have a wonderful significant other. How much time do we have left, Chris?
10 minutes.
What's going on here?
Almost 10 minutes exactly. So if you got any bombs you want to drop, now's the time to do it.
I don't know if 10 minutes can cover the relationship angle here, Chris. We could try.
Okay, and you got to stop using my name because it's giving you all the power, and I like to be in the driver's seat.
Yeah. Yeah, and isn't that funny how you don't even know my name? It's like you can't even compete.
No.
It's something that I've been enjoying. You could make up a name and pretend you call me. I'm playing.
I'll call you Little Rig. You're Little Rig.
Little Rig.
Yeah, try to balance out the status because you've taken all the power.
What we have right here is a comedian who can't handle being outpowered by a sick dude. What does that say about your hand size?
You're destroying me. You're destroying me.
And we got 9 minutes. We got to talk about this last dimension here.
Yeah, you tell me what.
Is that all right?
You go. I have no say in it. You're just. I'm along for the ride with you.
That's right. I don't think you do have to say.
Whoa.
So I appreciate you for real. I really love your podcast. You've helped me out a lot. And I just want to make sure that this is known.
Don't bail on the bit. You don't bail on the bit now. I'm making you feel more powerful than you felt since you ate some weird bananas out in Uganda. You own it. You own it.
I have a wonderful significant other who actually came to pick me up, right, and help from abroad, and helped me a lot. And maybe there's people that can relate to trying to have a successful relationship, even when you really love the other person. It's mutual. When you have a chronic illness, it's hard, right? Because one person is having to be fairly selfish, or spend a lot of time with self-care. The other person maybe just wants a normal date, right? Has to give a lot of him or herself. And it works for a while, right? Easily, because, it's love and it's new and you're trying to help the other person. You feel compassion. After a year plus, it starts to get really rough. No matter how much you love the other person. I'm still with my girlfriend, my partner. But it's rough, right? And my partner herself has had a chronic illness in her life. So that's probably why we're together. She's been through it, right? And she knows what it takes, but it's hard,
Yeah, especially I would imagine one of the things that she must have been attracted to you was a relentless selflessness. That was clearly one of your defining qualities.
I don't know.
Did you just yawn?
Yeah, No, I said I don't know.
Oh, that sounded like you were actively bored. I think I'm feeling very insecure about that power dynamic thing still.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, hopefully I'm, giving a clue to future callers on how to, handle you.
How to steamroll me. Okay, so where are things at now? So things are strained.
No, I'm actually at her house with her family on Christmas, for Christmas holiday. I don't know if strain's the right word. It's just, it's like the slow, how many cuts can you handle, right? And how long is like love just enough? Eventually you need a normal life, right? Eventually you need to go out on dates. Eventually you need to have, 2 incomes, or you got to move on at some point, right? So the question is, how long can a relationship handle this no person's land? And how long is compassion enough? But we love each other a lot. So we hope it works out. But, at some point you got to get well.
Yeah.
So I often feel a lot of pressure to get better, even though I can't impact it. And, she can only give so much of herself for so long until she's just burnt the hell out. But she's awesome, She came and picked me up abroad, and she's been there for me in every way. I love her a lot. So I guess we'll see, right?
You are the definition of level-headed, my friend.
Well, and what is that definition? Define it for me.
You're very thoughtful. It seems like you look at things from all different angles. It seems like you're totally fair about the possibilities of where you're at, the limitations of where you're at. And it's very... I've
been pretty, you get pretty angry, and frustrated too. So I don't think that I'm always the most level-headed. I get pretty, frustrated as well. So yeah, I think on the whole, I'm fairly level-headed, but when something lasts for a long time, you have your moments, and sometimes the moments last for a couple of weeks, and you get out of it, and you get a new strength, and then it's kind of a cycle, right? And then you just hope one day you can start again.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
I'll tell you one thing that I've learned for sure is that in this country we don't have, I guess it gets back to that Bernie jazz, but we don't have safety nets for people that get sick. I will share I was lucky enough to get some free health care that it's helped me get a bit back on my feet a little bit. But God bless someone who happens to be in my situation, get sick, and they live in someplace without expanded Medicaid or whatever, and they're getting in debt. Some cycle is hitting them. They don't have a support system. They're screwed because we don't have a safety net. There are certain states have health safety nets. Some don't.
Yeah.
Depending what the governor thinks is right, and it's unfair, right? So luckily, I was in a place where I could get some health care. I could get the right tests. I can get some treatment. But
did you have health care before you left for Africa?
Yeah, I did, and I had good care when I was there. Yeah. But when I came back, I was no longer working, and you are dependent, right? So if you're in a place without government support, or essentially I was a poor person, right? Because I wasn't able to work. I was really dependent, and if you're not in a state that can help you out, well,
yeah,
hopefully you got some family.
Yeah,
that's where those poverty cycles start.
Yeah, I've read a lot about that. It's hard to get out of it once you're in it.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It just got so sad.
I really enjoyed talking to you.
We got a minute left in it, and
that's
so sad.
That's not supposed to be sad. That's supposed to be real.
It was very real. But it's heartbreaking to hear you just end on going, yeah.
But it's a good thing. It should be an example of how that works, right? If someone falls ill with potential, they get better because society was willing to give them free healthcare for a while. They get better, they get diagnosed, they get treatment, then they can use their education, whatever, to get back at it. That's how it's supposed to work. It's not good for society when someone, gets sick and can't get out of the cycle because society didn't want to invest in them for like a year. It's horrible. We shouldn't be that way.
Yeah, I agree. It's crazy. It's really crazy that people convince us to vote against our own self-interest sometimes. It is.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm going to do?
Yeah.
In an effort to affect positive change, I'm going to...
What are you going to do, Chris?
I'm going to briefly...
You have to hear that name again?
I'm going to briefly look into the possibility of changing that hold music, and if it's something that requires more than 45 seconds of work, I'm probably not going to do
it. Can I get a little promise? And it's not that you'll change it, it's that if you do change it, you will let everybody know.
They'll know. As soon as they hear this episode, they'll know. Caller, thank you so much. I hope Big Rig Lewis gets adopted. I hope you feel better. I hope your relationship maintains. I hope that you learn so much about yourself and the world as you listen to it and just wait to feel better. I really sincerely hope that happens soon. So thank you for calling, and thanks everybody for listening. It means so much. Thanks to everybody who contributes in the Facebook group and lets me know how you're feeling about the show online and Twitter and Facebook and all those other places. Thank you to Jared O'Connell for putting in the real hard work on the show. Thank you to the Reverend John Delore and Greta Cohen for helping build this thing. Thank you to Shellshag for the intro music. You want to know what I'm up to? Go to chrisgeth.com. If you like Beautiful Anonymous, please do leave a rating, a review, subscribe on iTunes. It genuinely helps so much. Please do it. And in the meantime, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time on Beautiful Anonymous. Thanks again to Match for sponsoring today's episode. Match has led to more online relationships than any other dating app. They are not only number one in first dates, but in second dates too. Connect with thousands and create your own modern love story on Match. Start your 7-day free trial at match.com/beautiful. Next time on Beautiful Anonymous, we talk about power. I mean literal electricity. Also love. I bet when this comes out, I'm going to get a lot of tweets from people that are like, actually, I'm way into the power grid. I should work there. I know more than she did. I bet there's going to be a bunch of those people.
Yeah.
I bet I'm going to get links to power grid message boards. I bet there's people out there. I bet there's a...
I'll keep track of your Twitter and see if I find anything, because I'm curious too.
Now, here's a question. There's a whole network of people out there making sure my house doesn't burn down when I do that, isn't there? I've never considered that until this moment.
Yeah.
You're one of these people.
And I was at the same point because, I just started not too long ago, so, this is still, kind of, mind-blowing to me.
That's next time on Beautiful Anonymous.
Hey, you don't have to be a sports fan to enjoy Scarborough Country, but if you are, you'll also enjoy it. This is a chance for us to break down the ridiculousness in the world of sports. And if you aren't a sports fan, you're going to get a little knowledge. You're going to be able to enter that conversation that's maybe going on about the Super Bowl or whatever. You're going to have facts and opinions. We're also going to provide ways of lampooning the world of sports. So if you hate it, here's a chance to get your digs in as well. If you love sports, there'll be plenty in it for you. We think you guys will enjoy it, so check it out on earwolf.com, iTunes, or where you pick up your podcasts.
This has been an Earwolf production, executive produced by Scott Aukerman, Chris Bannon, and Colin Anderson. For more information and content, visit earwolf.com.